That's what I do. Sit here and look at the moon. Wonder if it turned blue. That's when I get to see you. It's true. I do. I do not hate you because you are beautiful. You just remind me of things I would do to you if you would.
My origin story. I started this when I was very young. I think I was 13 or 14 when I wrote my first song. But before that, I had a Sega Saturn. I played the game Sonic R, Sonic Racing. There was a track called Diamond in the Sky, and it was the first song that inspired me to write to music. That's when I transitioned from poetry to music. I got into battle rap through a friend when I was in high school, and I had to come up with a name. Well, I was a huge Final Fantasy fan at the time. I was also very short, very small, very skinny. And if you know anything about mages, black mages, like they're magic users, they're glass cannons. They do a lot of damage, but physically they're not the strongest, which is why you need a tank in front of you. I was this little black kid that would come in and just burn everything down. So it made perfect sense to be Black Mage, and literally that was the origin. The games probably inspired my music because I was an RPGer. I was huge on RPGs, and when you play RPGs, I don't want to say your intelligence increases, but you do a lot of reading and you come across a lot of words that you've never heard before or that you don't understand, that you have to, and that kind of kick-started my desire to increase my vocabulary. And then, you know, the longer I played and the more I played and the more I learned how to strategize and the more I learned battle tactics, the more it altered my perception of what is in front of me, especially regarding battles, battle rap. When you're a fighter, you just kind of swing at what's in front of you. But when you're a magic user, you know that you can't do that. You have to figure out something else. There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's fire magic, lightning magic, ice magic, there's illusions. You have to figure out which form of magic works best for the scenario. Otherwise, you will die. So I would think that if I was to be inspired by games, that would be the way that I was inspired. Album mode versus battle mode. I don't write music. In truth, I don't actually think I'm a writer or a rapper or a musician. Honestly, I'm just a vessel for the muses. I almost don't do this. It comes from me. I can't not make music. I can't not write because even if I'm not actively thinking about it, I'll have moments where I'll just be sitting there and whole verses will appear in my head. It's almost like it wasn't even me. So honestly, I'm less a musician and more just a vessel for the muses. And so when I make music, I'm not making music that I think will work the best in mainstream media. I'm making what comes from my heart and what is shaded by my heart. And my heart is very nerdy. The comics, the anime, the video games, my experiences as a black male in America, my experiences as a pure outlier is what shades my perception. So the muses funnel this through me, and I'm kind of just the lens, and I can kind of turn to point the light a direction, but I'm not the source of light. I'm the lens that the light passes through. When I'm writing an album, it involves subject matters. There are things I want to address. Usually I'm building to a grander scheme. I did an album called the Role Model album. It was a 7 Deadly Sins album. Most of the songs had to do with a sin, and then everything kind of groups together for an album. When I battle, it's similar in that I kind of have things that I want to address, but I come from, again, a pretty old school musical background. And I think one of the advantages that I have over battle rappers, especially currently, is I come from a different set of criteria for judging. Now, it's like, oh, performance, aggression, and how did he... Well, back when I was battling, like the criteria were metaphors, multisyllabic rhymes, rhyme patterns, punches, personals. Those were the criterias. Now, people almost don't even care about that sort of stuff. They're like, oh, he punches, he schemes, how was his energy, his performance? I have a bunch of criteria that I'm trying to fill. And so I fill those criteria while adhering to today's modern day standards. And so there's an extra level of depth to the battle writing because I have that old school background with different criteria versus when I make music and I'm just kind of a muse and what comes from me comes from me. It can rhyme, it can not rhyme. But a decade ago, before I quit battle rap the first time, the way I rap, I could freestyle like that. If you go back to my Bring the Pain Champagne Cypher Series battles, the large portions of that were freestyle. I had this ability to just tap into anger and aggression and just like charge it, channel it, and focus it. Almost like my ADD, ADHD didn't exist back then, or if it did, the anger and the rage could be channeled into something that would clear the rest of my mind so that I could focus. So the Yellow-Eyed Devil is my favorite thing to tap into because it's so present. So when I'm Yellow-Eyed Devil, I can tap into presence and I can rap, but while I'm rapping, I can actually comment on things that are actively happening. So if I am battling and the crowd comes unglued and they react, I can see something in their reaction and factor it into what I'm doing without missing a step. And so once I'm present in that manner, once that Yellow-Eyed Devil has possessed me, it's pretty much a rap for everything. I'm picking up everything moving. The Yellow-Eyed Devil was a reference to Vivi's trance in Final Fantasy IX. Typically they are the wizard outfit and the hat, but you can't see the individual inside. All you see is a glowing pair of yellow eyes. For the most part, wizards and mages, they're human. So once the shadow falls over them and all you can see are the glowing eyes, it means that they're raged. It means that the potency of their magic has increased, and often the amount that they can cast in a single round has increased. And that's why it's such a good metaphor, because my ability doubles over when I go into that trance. So that's where the Yellow-Eyed Devil came from. Well, you know what's crazy is I've never fit in anywhere, even in places I'm supposed to fit in. I've skateboarded my whole life, but I never fit in with skaters. I was very good at sports, very athletic. I didn't fit in with athletes because I was too much of a nerd. And I didn't fit in with nerds because I wanted to go play football or basketball or any of these things. So kind of no matter where I went, I didn't really fit in. And that's felt like a theme of my life. No Coast is really where I call home. And it's kind of supposed to be a nerd league. But even there, I don't necessarily fit in. I'm now in iBattle as well. And as much as I fit in a little more in iBattle, it still doesn't feel like a perfect fit. I've never been able to write for a crowd or tailor myself to an audience when battling. The rage that comes out, the things that I'm addressing, it's pure. And so, as much as I get oohs and ahs and reactions from the crowd, it's not what I write for. When I'm going to talk to my opponent. I have stuff that I want to say, or I have jokes that I want to make. And so sometimes that can make the scene uncomfortable. But again, I'm not here to make you comfortable. I've never been here to make you comfortable. The world has never made me comfortable. It's never even tried to help me be comfortable. So it's really not my lot to help other people be comfortable. You can react, you can not react. You can laugh, you can not laugh. You can be appalled. I don't care. At the end of the day, you showed up to see me do this. I'm good at it. If you don't like it, you don't have to. But I'm not here for anybody other than me, my wife, my friends, and the kid that I have on the way. I'm a muse. I exist so that these things can be made. You don't have to see it, but fate dictated that these things needed to be said, and thus I was born. So 2 years ago, when I was in No Coast, this guy who I didn't know, named Lexx Luthor, comes to No Coast and basically calls me out. When he joined the group, his first post was, "Why am I not battling Black Mage?" Because he was battling somebody named Ro. And then in his battle against Ro, he makes a bar where he says, "Someone tell Black Mage being in front of me is not a smart position." Something about having to make a sacrifice to get to the Dark Magician. So I'm like, okay, this guy's name is Lexx Luthor. As a nerd, while I try not to be arrogant, I am better than most rappers. I won't say I'm better than most musicians, but I am better than most rappers by leagues. And so when I found out that there was a guy named Lexx Luthor, I felt like I owed it to nerds. I owed it to the comic community to battle this guy, to make the best Lex Luthor verse ever. And now I'm booked against him. Turns out he's the owner of iBattle. He's like a URL Crucible judge. He's active in, or was at least active in KOTD. The battle world knows him pretty well. And a lot of people, they want to meet Lex Luthor, come into contact with him, touch base with him, rap for him, all of that stuff, so that they can make a move. This was never about that. This was about the fact that his name is Lex Luthor, and for that, he has to die. I watched some of the battles against him, and I'm like, boy, these guys aren't doing anything with Lex Luthor, nothing real. And so I'm here to do something real with Lex Luthor. After that, Danny Myers actually just called me out, which is insane to me. So I'll probably be looking at a Danny Myers battle before March. Both of these battles are huge. Both of these battles are something I'm prepared for. I'm not coming to play. If you've ever seen a Black Mage battle, I'm not here to play. Like, even when I get to joking, it won't always be funny. The shit that I bring up, the shit that I say, it's real. I don't just make jokes. I don't just talk about fictional guns. I'm pulling from real experiences in people's lives because I feel like as an artist, I owe them the reverence of leaving them with something real. I battled this guy Momentous, and a lot of people don't know much about, as offensive as this might sound, sand countries. A lot of people don't know a whole lot about it. So when I show up, I don't get a lot of reaction to some of the comments I'm making about his existence as a Muslim. But I know that he will understand them, he will get them, and he will appreciate them. I'm not here for wins and losses. I'm just here for the blood. So whoever wants to bleed after them, I'm here. I have a list of people that I need to get through. Lex Luthor was on that list, but he's booked now. Danny Myers was not on that list, but he'll be popping up. JC would be the first battle where I didn't show up to win, I showed up to survive. I would like to battle JC at some point in my career when people feel I'm ready. A Daylight or a Loaded Lux would be a great look. It would be a great battle. It would be timeless. It would be a moment in history, but Loaded Lux and Daylight aren't somebody that I look at. JC would be. I would love to battle Kang, which I think I'll be able to make happen, especially after what I've done thus far. Eddie I at some point. Eddie I would be a fun battle, but he's busy. So I get that. He's like in URL, giving him hell. Congratulations. You'll probably see me in the next 2 years. I don't care how far you get in what league. Eddie I, you'll probably see me in the next 2 years. Mr. Biscuit, me and him would have a hella entertaining battle. XQZ, me and him would have a hella entertaining battle. I would like to do some 2-on-2s. Nick G is a battle rapper from my city. We have a park called Crystal Lake. I would love to do a 2-on-2 with him called Crystal Lake Killers. I would love to do a 2-on-2 with AMS. I don't know what that would be called, but he's called the Nerd King. So we could easily be something nerd related, but me and AMS would make a great team for 2-on-2s. Me and Duke would make a good team. Me and XQZ would make a good team. A-Ward. I would love to battle the Horsemen. So I battled Homeschool and Saga showed up. And in my second, I did half my second was about Homeschool being a Christian. And I know that the Horsemen are like Christian rappers. And so I would love to battle the Horsemen because I would love to bring about the end of Apocalypse. I can deal with all 4 Horsemen. What are you talking about? The world's still spinning. I think A-Ward, Saga, G-Lo, all of the Horsemen. If you got time, if any of you would like to get off your pale horse, I'll be right here. Carter Deems. Carter Deems is just a fun dude. Me versus Carter Deems in a compliment battle, that would be great. I think that's my list off the top of my head. Type in Voldrega on just about anything. Hold This L and Hold This L, the expansion pack, are both available separately. Hold This L, Game of the Year edition, virtually everywhere digitally. I'm getting ready to get my original EP, Welcome to Level 1, back up, so you'll be able to hear that everywhere. I'm working on Hip Hopper's Guide to the Galaxy. It's gonna be crazy. If it's PlayStation, Voldregaou. AOU is a word from a language I've been working on for a long time, and it's Aya. So if y'all hear me do my intro and I say Voldreg and you hear the crowd yell Aya, that's where that comes from, even though I'm Black Mage. Black Mage is pretty general. Voldrega is a specific Black Mage. So you can find me just about anywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all of the major sources. And if you type in that Voldrega, you'll get to me. Even if you don't put the Aya on there, nobody else is named Voldrega. November 27th in New York. iBattle deserves to see their leader die. They never get to see him battle. So if Lexx Luthor is gonna die, they deserve to get to be the ones to bury him.